Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. What do we think of the Francis Ngannou, Anthony Joshua press conference? In all honesty, I mean, I don't think there's a tremendous amount to say. I mean, there was nothing out of the ordinary, was there? I mean, I'll concentrate on the three fights that I did preview videos for, because they were all there. All the fighters were there. Ray Vargas and Nick Ball. Vargas don't speak English. Nick Ball doesn't say a lot. Ball came across as very relaxed, very confident. There's always been a sort of, I've always thought there's a bit of a nastiness about Nick Ball, a bit of spite to his work. And that's a good thing. I think that's a very good thing. And he does have that slight arrogance that's needed to be a world-class boxer. And it wouldn't surprise me if he was to beat Vargas. However, I think a lot of people who are saying that this is kind of like a shoe-in for Ball, I think they're underrating Vargas. I know Vargas lost his last fight to a Shaki Foster up at 130. But he's a good fighter. That's his only defeat. And yes, he's 33 now. Ball is about 26, I think. But Ball, even though he's had some good wins, and he's had a very good win over Isaac Dogbe in his last fight, which wasn't that long ago, only a few months ago. If he thinks, or if anyone thinks Ball's going to walk in there and just smash Vargas up, I would be very, very surprised if that happened. Very surprised. In fact, I think Vargas deserves to be thought of as the favourite in this fight. Now, neither of them said anything out of the ordinary in the press conference, but Ball did come across as being, another day at the office. Yeah, he's a good fighter. They asked him, what do you think of Vargas? He said, I respect all fighters that get in the ring, that old line. But he does seem to be the type of guy who doesn't dwell upon reputations. His attitude is, I don't care how many fights you won, whether you're the champion or not. You need that bit of arrogance to compete at the highest levels. I think that's a good thing to have. But of course, what you mustn't do is it goes too far, and then you become complacent and you completely underrate your opponent. But I'm looking forward to that fight. I think that'll be a very, very good fight. It's kind of slipped under the radar a bit because of the heavyweight action that's going to go on, but don't miss that fight. ZHELEI ZHANG and Joseph Parker. That's one of the two heavyweight fights. It's probably going to be the most entertaining one, I would have thought. I don't know. You just never know with Joshua and Ngannou. But no, I think if Parker, someone said in the comments section of my preview video, Parker might sort of try and diffuse the Big Bang and bore us to a decision win. That is feasible, yeah. I can see Parker certainly boxing on the back foot and boxing conservatively. But if he hasn't learned from his past fights, if you go way back to the Joshua fight, he made it reasonably competitive, but he didn't seem to. He boxed way too within himself and allowed Joshua to win the rounds and just kind of gave up his WBO title. Now, if he wants to go the distance, I don't think he'll have any problem. But if he wants to win, at some point he's going to have to let it hang out and exchange. And exchange is perhaps the wrong word, but let his hands go. Lots of lateral movement. Try and keep the much bigger man, who is a very, very skilled boxer and has a good ring IQ. I mean, again, I've said it, I know it's only a little cameo, but the way he set up that right hook knockout of Joyce in the second fight was very, very impressive. But I think, my prediction was that Zhang would win on points. But a lot of people are picking Parker on points. Some people have picked Zhang to knock Parker out. Again, I mean, all these are perfectly plausible results. And again, as I've said before several times, the most entertaining fights, or the ones that you look forward to the most, I should say, are the ones where you just can't really pick a definitive winner. Nothing's really obvious. But I'm going to stick with my original prediction of Zhang to win on points. I don't say it with any great confidence. During the press conference, Zhang he doesn't trash talk, but he does tell people what he's going to do. He said he's going to bring the heat to Parker. He said he thinks Parker's a good fighter, but kind of like, he's got that little bit of spite to him, kind of like, Nick Ball. Parker, when they asked him, he said, well, I'm going to bang him. I mean, of course, there's a double entendre joke there, which has been done before. And I think he's kind of saying it, probably Parker, just to sort of, because Zhang doesn't get the double meaning. But I doubt very much whether Parker, from the word go, is going to exchange with him. I mean, Andy Lee in his corner is a definite asset. But I don't see in any shape or form the tactics being go out there and exchange with Zhang. It's a 12-rounder, so by all means. But this is for the WBO interim title, by the way. So yeah, it's a 12-rounder, but I don't see him. Maybe from round 7, 8 onwards, or maybe even later, 8 or 9, something like that. Yeah, get on the front foot. The last third of the fight, really test Zhang's gas tank. But to start with, I see Parker being very reserved, quite conservative with his output, and cautious of Zhang when he's fresh, and cautious of Zhang's overall ability and skill set. Zhang doesn't speak English, so the translations were predictable. I'm going to knock him out, I'm going to beat him. Then we came on to AJ and Ngannou. Both classy guys. I like Ngannou a lot. I knew virtually nothing about him before the Fury fight. Made a believer out of me for obvious reasons. And him and AJ seemed friendly, very, very friendly, very respectful. Ngannou exudes confidence and self-belief and everything in between. Just a very powerful, determined, focused individual. And even though he speaks with a strong African accent, his English is actually quite good. I've heard a few people say his English isn't good. No. His English is pretty good. I think it's the accent that throws some people off. And he was saying, he intends to bring pain to AJ, he intends to knock him out. I suppose you could say, what else would he say? But you kind of believe him when he says that. There's no sort of piss and wind with the guy. Now, AJ, let's say until 6 months ago, was the type of guy where we had a huge question mark over his mentality, his psyche, I should say, rather than mentality. And I never bought into the idea that he was weak-minded. I think that's just the wrong perception of what was going on. I think it was more his identity. I think his confidence was low because he couldn't quite work out what he was, probably not just as a fighter, but as a man. And over the last 6 months, especially on the back of the Otto Wallin win, I think getting the knockout in the Helenius fight, because Helenius gave him a few problems for a few rounds. He had a bloodied nose, blood coming out of his mouth. And then when he finally scored that highlight reel knockout, okay, it's Helenius, and say what you like about it, but it kind of like there was a cloud lifted. And then the Wallin fight, Wallin is a good fighter and a crafty guy who take your rounds, to put it, at the very least take your rounds. He didn't get a look in against AJ, and that really showed me something. And we've got to get back to the fact that, Ben Davison, he must have something to do with it. Ben Davison, a very cerebral, analytical guy. It's the type of guy that Joshua needs. It's the type of guy who, because Joshua is always second guessing himself. He's always looking for an extra. He's like a kid, if you've ever had like little kids. I've never had little kids, but I know loads of people that have got them. And when little kids, when they're inquisitive about everything, it's yeah, but Dad, why this? Why that though? Yeah, but you say that, but why this? Well, that's like Joshua. Okay, you asked me a question. This is the answer. Yeah, but what about that? What about if this happens? What about if that happens? maybe Ben Davison, even though there's not a lot of difference. I think Ben Davison's younger than Joshua, isn't he? By a few years, or a couple of years. But he's kind of got that air of a teacher about him, kind of like Andy Lee does. I mean, they're different in some respects as trainers, but Davison is good for someone like Joshua, who is that he wants to be that constant sponge, soaking up all sorts of different perspectives and viewpoints and angles, and it seems to have worked. It seems to have worked, because AJ in this press conference looked very, very relaxed. He was laughing. He was chatting with Ngannou. There was no bad blood at all. It's business purely. And I got a very, very positive vibe off Joshua. It is worth mentioning that Fury was there as well, sitting in the audience, and he was saying things. The press conference I watched, the version of it, because it was broadcast through several different platforms, I couldn't hear what Fury was saying, but at one point Ngannou got quite arsey with him. He said, let me see if I can remember what he said. I'll have to paraphrase in general, but he said something along the lines of, we both know that the rules of boxing save you because I'm only allowed to do certain things to you, and if you remove the rules of boxing, you know what would happen to you. At one point Ngannou said, I would use your ass to wipe the ring. And and he said it, and he just exudes this no-nonsense self-belief. He means what he says. And I couldn't hear what Fury was coming back with. But Fury, of course, will know, he's not stupid, that he can't bully Ngannou. There's always been an air of the bully about Fury. But Ngannou, you're whistling Dixie if you think you're gonna intimidate him. But that was an interesting little cameo there. I like watching that. That was good. I wish I could hear what Fury had said back, because apparently they've been going at it on Twitter or X, whatever the hell it's called now. Well, they've been saying a few things, or Fury's been shooting his mouth off. You're wasting your time with Ngannou. And Ngannou was saying, if I lose my shit, you'll know about it. I think he will as well. Ngannou is a scary guy. He's the kind of type of guy you're kind of grateful that he comes across as being a nice fella. Because if he was a really nasty guy... Yeah, anyway, you know what I'm getting at. Anyway, that's the press conference. I thought it was it was very conventional. Nothing really out of the ordinary. But let me know what you think. Let me know where every fighter's at. Of course, this is on Friday night, not Saturday night, as I think Frank Warren mentioned. I kept saying, Saturday is not Saturday. I think Eddie probably does the same. It's just force of habit, isn't it? But it's on Friday night, pay-per-view or other means, shall we say. And yeah, let me know what you think. Leave your comments below. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. And hit the like button as well, if you don't mind, yeah. I should be back in England tomorrow, which is Thursday. So I'll probably do a couple of more videos before fight night. But take care of yourselves. Looking forward to reading your comments. I'll catch you later. Bye for now.